This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Welcome in, Ballsville gamers, to another episode of the Ballsville podcast. I am your host, Scott Fitzgerald, a.k.a. Lutes for Sale on Sleeper, and this episode is brought to you by the Ballsville Games. Our games combine fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. Okay, folks, welcome in. It's Friday, less than 24 hours before Sunday's game, and before we get into it, I want to thank you guys all for listening. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. It really helps a lot. Also, please visit our website, theballsvillegame.com, for all your fantasy needs. We have tools. We have all our leagues that are posted on there. Eventually, we're going to have our Discord eventually sent over to there, so it'll be your one-stop shop for all your fantasy needs. Okay, I'm going to welcome in the panel for today. Sean is out of town. He's on a vacay. So my co-host today, he's from West Texas. He's a good old boy. His name is C-Bomb. Connor, what is up, Connor? Your mic.
Oh,
there you go.
I unmuted everybody else, but not myself.
All right, welcome in, Connor. And then from way up in the great state of Alaska, back in with his Lions gear on, it is Zubakis. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, how's it going, boys? Nice to be back.
All righty. Okay. Okay, we got a lot to unpack. We're going to talk about some injuries. We're going to talk about the wild Thursday night game last night. We finally got a good Thursday night game. We're going to also get into some busts and overachievers. So basically, we took the last two rounds of some of our redraft leagues, and we're going to bring it up, and we're going to see who overachieved and who kind of busted, and see where we either went wrong or went right. So we'll get into that. We'll get into some trade talks. You guys love the trade talks. And then we'll also get into some start-sit questions from you in the audience. So I am going to do the whip around, and then we'll also get into some starts. So I will get into the whip around, and we're going to start off with the injury reports. The Jets and the Vikings. As of right now, it looks like Hawkinson's still out. His window to come back apparently is going to be today or tomorrow. So it's probably going to be a couple more weeks till he's back. So we'll have to wait and see on that. I know me and Ken and I have a big bet on that. 8 consecutive games for a pub sub. So getting into scrolling down a little bit more, it looks like nothing there for that game. Looks like Odell Beckham's questionable to come back. I don't know who's going to be throwing him the ball, but he's going to be hopefully running routes out there. Let's see here. We got Raheem Mostert's back at practice. That's kind of a big one. I think I would probably hang tight, not really put him in any lineups yet until we see what I know he's going to be on a pitch count, so we'll probably wait and see how the game goes before you start throwing him in lineups, unless you're totally like dying at running back. The Browns, we got Nick Chubb's out. Nyheim Hines is out. David Njoku's questionable. This is a big one. Brian Robinson for the Commanders. He is literally a game time decision on the weekend. So I'm going to go to Connor. Eckler's coming back. Should we trust McNichols at all if you're dying for like a flex play?
I mean, it depends on how bad you're dying, but I don't think so. I think you're probably firing up Eckler if you have him, because I think he's pretty healthy now, missing last week. Brian Robinson, I don't think plays. I think this is one of those situations that they say game time decision, but he really hasn't practiced all that much this week anyway. So I don't think he plays. They're just holding out maybe. Maybe he wakes up Sunday morning or whatever and is like, I'm good to go, but I doubt that.
Okay. Moving on to the Colts and Jags. We got Richardson, who's questionable. Now, Joe Flacco, he took all the first team reps. So
Yeah.
I probably would play a lot of other players over Richardson. If you got Flacco and you're dying at quarterback, fire him up. Hopefully you were a smart owner. If you're an owner Richardson, you were smart, picked up Flacco. Jonathan Taylor's out. So Zoobs, I mean, is Trey Sermon, is he like a mirage or is he real?
I think he's real. I mean, the Jags haven't really been able to stop very much on defense. So I think he's a better play than McNichols. I think he's probably a better play than anybody on the Texans that they're going to roll out this week. I'm sure we'll get to that in a minute. I'd much rather play Sermon over just about all those people. So
we do have a start sit question at the end of the time to go about Sermon as well. So we can answer that.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. So welcome in, Tom. Tom's new to the to Ballsville. Tom 2752. What's up, Tom? And Diggs looks like, by the way, won. What's up? What's up, Diggs? So we'll move on to the Jags. Evan Ingram's questionable again. Is he a game time decision at all? Did anyone over here? Is he just straight questionable?
I think he's just straight questionable from what I've seen.
I think he's going to play as well. I think he's one of those.
Okay, you might want to monitor that.
I think he's been limited. He hasn't been out of practice from my knowledge. So
yeah, he hasn't had a setback from what I've heard. So yeah, I expect him to play.
Okay, moving on. Bills, Texans. Lot of injuries here. So we have Shakir out with the ankle. So Connor, who's stepping up in the receiving core there?
Well, I'm sure Sean wants it to be Kincaid, but I don't know if it's going to be. I think it's probably going to be a lot of Josh Allen rolling around, passing the ball. Keon Coleman might have a couple more catches than he usually does. I'm not a big Coleman guy in the first place. I don't think he can get much separation, but he has shown the ability to win jump balls and had some pretty good hands. He's not Quentin Johnston or anything. So,
are you trusting like Curtis?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think Curtis Samuel might be a start because he has a similar skill set that Shakir has, and so I think he might get some more touches like Shakir would get. So James Cook is a big play for sure.
James Cook, yep, and they also have MVS there too, seems like he can never catch a ball in the big spots.
Yeah, he's only had Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Josh Allen throwing the football the past 3 years. So it's like.
Incredible. All right, moving on to the Texans. Yet again, Mixon's out. Dameon Pierce is questionable, but I wouldn't count anything for him. So Zoobs, are we firing up Cam Akers and his 7 to 8 points?
Man, the sad part is this is a get right sort of situation. You would think that it would be Cam Akers, but Dare Ugumbuwale. Yeah, sorry if I butchered that name, Dare there. But man, he got a lot of play last week, and honestly, I think he looked a little bit better than Akers. So I'm staying away from this backfield unless I'm just desperate. So
yeah, I think I don't know. Dare whatever his name is. He basically got all his points on that one receiving touchdown. So I don't know. I mean, I have to fire up Cam Akers in a few leagues. I'm not happy about it, and I'm just hoping, just get in the box, dude. If you can just get in the box, it's worth it. But in this offense, it's really tough. But if you're dying, you almost got to stick them in.
I feel like there's a lot of people that are probably dying this week because a lot of flex plays are out. It's not like your main guy. I mean, there's a couple main guys, don't get me wrong, but a lot of flex plays like Shakir, like your Brian Robinsons, Neighbors is another one. He's more of a big name, but there's a lot of people probably dying at flex right now playing Tutu Atwell and people like that.
And you gamers that are out there, because I did this in a couple leagues. I have a couple leagues where I'm having abundance, believe it or not, of riches of running backs, and not crazy guys, but like Zach Moss, and I got, I think, some leagues I had Jerome Ford, I had Kareem Hunt. I had pretty good riches of running backs, and I went and looked at that team that was 1-3, 0-4, and I said, look, you need a running back, I need a receiver. So maybe I really don't, but these guys are their backs up or against the wall, go find that owner that's 1-3 and 0-4 they're dying at running back, and you could probably, get the better half in a trade by getting a good receiver off him. Even if you had to trade for an injured receiver, like let's just say Devontae Smith or somebody that's coming off an injury, and for somebody that you can use in a week or so, just because you have so many running backs, you could possibly flip that running back for a better wide receiver down the road.
Yeah, you could offer somebody like Zach Moss for like Deontay Johnson or something.
Oh my gosh. Holy cow.
That's what Scott did to me. So
I tried that today with
oh my gosh. That's crazy talk.
I didn't get him to bite. So. But anyways, so we'll move on to the Raiders Broncos. Zamir White's out, so looks like fire up your Alexander Madison.
You want to talk about busts on the year?
Yeah, we'll get into some guys. I mean, he was a little later, if you win 0 RB, but yeah, he was definitely not looking like somebody that's going to help you this year. Devontae Adams, he's a guy that's probably played his last bit of football with the Vegas Raiders, and I'm going to go to Connor. So, Connor, in redraft, what are you doing with Devontae Adams?
I mean, what can you do? I mean, he did post a picture of Edgar Allan Poe today. I don't know if anybody saw that.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be a Raven. I don't know if I really like him on the Ravens. I think that hurts a lot of values, like not just – besides, I mean, I think it helps Lamar, but it hurts, Zay Flowers. Probably hurts Henry a little bit because he's not on yet. And it hurts – I think it hurts Adams because, Ravens aren't really a passing offense. I mean, you've seen that with Mark Andrews. If anybody that has Mark Andrews, you're hating that Ravens offense right now, or even Isaiah Likely after week 1, you probably spent 90% of your fab trying to pick up Isaiah Likely if he was on there. And he has produced, I think, 5 total points or something like that since week 1. So that the Ravens aren't the biggest passers. I would like to see Adams go to, the Saints or the Jets or whoever else is out there that might want them that are better passers. But
if I tell you what,
can't
really
trade for Adams.
Right now, if I'm a Garrett Wilson owner, I'm like in panic mode because Zoobs, if he goes to the Jets, does that pretty much just like tank, Wilson's value?
I will say this. I think what it does, I think there's a possibility, and I'm split 50-50 on this. I think there's a possibility that it actually opens up Wilson more because now you have the threat of Devontae Adams, and they're going to have to double team him, and they're going to have to, treat him as a real threat on that team, especially with the connection between him and Rodgers. And that might just leave Garrett Wilson wide open for stuff. So I would be a little afraid having Garrett in a couple places, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, man, it might actually be best case scenario for him. So
yeah. I think I'm with Zubicus more so there than I would be hurting his value. I think you can't really double. You definitely can't double either of them.
Nope.
And then if you do double them, then you have Breece Hall to worry about. So Breece Hall is killing linebackers. Besides last week, don't mean to start in last week, but Breece Hall has been killing linebackers on routes and stuff, and so they have a third option out of the backfield that they like. They have Mike Williams has shown some glimpses of being a third guy. I think they could put you could see Wilson in a role that Godwin's in at Tampa, and he could really open up theirs too. So,
gosh, yeah, they I guess with Adams, the only thing I worry about going to the Jets is he's got such a great chemistry with Rodgers, where he just looks over, gives a head nod, change the route, this and that. If Rodgers doesn't. Adams is going to demand the ball if he goes there. He's going to want the ball. So, if Rodgers goes to is Devontae going to be happy winning the game and getting, 2 receptions for 20 yards?
I don't think Devontae would be taking a back sheet on receptions though.
I'm just saying, like what Zubicus's point says, if there's a game where let's just say they decide, hey, we're going to press coverage Adams and we're going to put a safety over the top the whole game. And we're going to force them to go to the secondary receivers. And Wilson has 11 catches for whatever, and Adams has like 2 catches. Is he going to be fine? And they win the game. is he going to be fine with that, or is he going to be pouting and and causing chaos? It's just is he going to be okay with the situation just winning? That's the thing I guess I would worry about if Adams goes over there.
Well, and I think what it boils down to too is, I mean, is Devontae going to go out there and be that superstar? And if he is, then he'll beat the press coverage and he'll beat the safeties, and I mean, he'll get his targets. So
on that point, I think another, like, I know this week has already passed, but when they played the Broncos, you saw Surtain following around Wilson basically the whole field. There's a couple plays that Wilson was able to motion out of it, and they were in zone, and that's when Wilson really got some of his work. But I don't think if Adams is on the team, that happens. I think Surtain follows Adams and plays man Adams, and they try to double Wilson. But I think Wilson's a little sneakier than Adams. Adams might be.
Got you. All right. Let's see. We'll move on. I'm just trying to get my internet here. My thing is going crazy here. All right. We'll move on to. Let's see, we went there. We've already gone there. We'll go to the Cardinals Niners. So Trey McBride is out of concussion protocol. He'll be back this week.
He's already not questionable, so he's good to go.
Yeah, he's good to go. Christian McCaffrey, same scenario that we're talking about the whole time. So he's probably out again, probably long term. So yeah, do you guys have anything on that? My computer's like going crazy now. I'm losing everything.
Kittle's been questionable this week. So that's something to monitor going into the weekend.
He says like broken ribs or something. I heard it's like something serious, like
something ribs, something. And he went out of that game last weekend for a few plays, or I think for the last part of the second quarter. But then he came back in and finished the game out and had that touchdown catch. So, but just something to monitor. Maybe he's got a snap count or something. Or I think he'll play, but he might be a little banged up.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. Roll through this real quick. Sorry, guys. My computer is just like lagging death. All right. Green Bay and the Rams. Watson's doubtful. Romeo Dobbs, that's a big one. He's a personal reasons. He's going to be out. So going to the Green Bay guy, we'll go to C-Bomb. I mean, that just fire up. I mean, Datavian Wicks, Reed. So you guys that were able to pick up Wicks on the waiver wire, congratulations.
Or drafted him in every single redraft you're in. Every single redraft I'm in.
What about Tucker Kraft? C-Bomb, fire him up.
Yep. Yeah, you're firing up Tucker Kraft. I think you're firing up Tucker Kraft regardless of if Watson or play. I mean, there's maybe a few guys that, because Tucker Kraft was a later tight end, so there might be a few guys that you're playing over him, Kelsey and Bowers and stuff like that. But if you waited on tight end, you're definitely firing him up.
Okay, I'm going to send this one over to Zoobs. Zoobs, so as far as the Rams go, we still don't have Cooper Kupp. We still don't have your boy Puka. Are we going to who would you fire up this week? I asked C-Bomb earlier about this, and I want to get your take. Would you fire up Tutu Atwell or Jordan Whittington?
Man, I think Tutu's their kind of their speedster. He might rip off a long one. And his targets have kind of ratcheted up the last week or two. I think I'd rather go Whittington though. I mean, he looks like the more go-to guy for Stafford right now. He looks a little Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua-ish. So I think if I had to pick between the two this weekend, I'd go Whittington.
Okay. I know Connor liked Tutu.
Yeah.
I know Whittington.
I'm not a big Whittington guy, so
Whittington did get, I think, 8 targets last week. So I mean,
if it's PPR, I think if it's PPR, he might be a PPR scam this weekend. So, got
you. I know the coaching staff definitely likes Tutu. So, yeah. But like I said, if you want to invest in that offense, I mean, one of those two guys is probably going to break out this week. I don't think it's going to be both of them at the same time. So you have to pick your poison there. We'll move on to Giants and Seahawks.
Oh, Giants.
Yeah, so Devin Singletary is doubtful, which to me means he's out. So, I mean, there's Eric Gray, but I mean, they're probably going to give the rookie some run. He's had some good run. What do you think, Connor? Tracy over Eric Gray?
Yeah, I would say Tracy over Eric Gray, but I think the only person you're comfortable starting in this offense is Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah,
I mean, even with Neighbors there, he was still getting a lot of targets. So,
yeah.
he was a little bit banged up this week, but I think he's fine. I think he probably gets about 90% of those targets in there. But
yeah, so it's a crushing blow for you guys that have been riding including myself, the Malik Neighbors.
He's in my main home league, and it's just boy.
Yeah,
you're fine, Mooney. You're fine.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so we're just not going to have him this week, which is unfortunate. But you're just gonna have to pencil somebody in. But what didn't look like a crazy concussion. I mean, it happened at the end of the game, and it's not like he got knocked out or anything like that. So they're probably more closer to the precaution side, with that. So I'd expect him back next week. As far as the Seattle, I mean, Walker's, he's still in, he's played great. So yeah, that's really good for you. The Dallas Cowboys and Pittsburgh Steelers. We have Brandon Cooks, who's out, so you can go ahead and fire up Jalen Tolbert, who's had, even with Cooks in there, he's had some really good targeted games. So if you're in a pinch and you need a WR3 or flex play, Tolbert would be really good in that situation. As far as the Steelers go, we have Jalen Warren is out. And it looks like Cordell Patterson's out. So it's just basically all Najee Harris. So who didn't really take advantage of the situation last week. So sorry about the background, guys.
Are you on an airplane or what's going on?
No, it's somebody in the other room's making a smoothie and doesn't realize I'm doing a podcast. So anyways, that's what happens when you don't have your own house. So in a couple months I'll be in Florida. So other than that, that's about it for the injury reports and everything this week. So definitely check your practice reports for Saturday for guys that are playing potentially Sunday night and Monday. So from there, we'll get into last night's game. So what a game. Finally got a good Thursday night game. And what about Kirk Cousins? I mean, what a tremendous game. The guy had 500 passing yards, unlocked everybody except for Bijan. Even Kyle Pitts he unlocked. So going forward, I mean, Connor, is this wheels up for Kirk Cousins now?
I think so. I think it's definitely a stepping stone for him. He looked good. He had some underthrows a little bit that he looked uncomfortable. He only had a couple that he looked uncomfortable on with his Achilles. They could tell like he was still kind of worried about it. But I mean, throwing for 509 or 506 passing yards, you're really starting him. If you picked him up as your second quarterback, you're definitely more comfortable starting him moving forward. That offense, I mean, London looked great. Mooney had one drop. Besides that, he looked great. Pitts looked good. I don't understand the usage of Algier. I honestly, I don't know how it impacts their team, like winning wise, although they did win. But I mean, Algier had he was playing in the overtime that made no sense on passing downs. He was playing. Bijan had 2 or 3 great runs in a row, and then they throw in Algier that made no, on a 3rd and 2 when they needed to score, made no sense from a not just fantasy perspective, but from natural football perspective. Bijan was getting it going, and then they just take him out on a 3rd and 2. Made no sense. So I'm worried about Bijan more so than I am anybody else in that offense, but I hope maybe there's some smart people that are in the Atlanta Falcons organization that say, hey, you got a couple talented guys here. You don't have to use just one every week. So,
right. Okay. We're going to move on to Zub's new favorite guy besides Puka. It's Darnell Mooney.
Woo!
Darnell
Oh.
Mooney had 16 targets in this game. Actually, he had 16 targets. He caught 9 balls for 105 and 2 touchdowns. And actually, I think it was the fourth quarter, he should have had a third touchdown. He dropped the ball. He looked like he was trying to run before he caught it, and he would have walked in the end zone for a third touchdown.
Yep.
And it would have even been a more of a monstrous night. So going forward, I thought possibly the reason why Pitts wasn't getting a lot of targets was because of Mooney. And Mooney was taking a lot of Pitts' targets. Now, this was kind of a shootout. They were back and forth, so the pass catch, they threw the ball a lot, obviously, because of the 500 yards that Cousins had. But going forward, I mean, Mooney's he's like a WR2 now going forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely a flex play every week. I mean, if you got your flex spot, I throw him in there. And yeah, if you're kind of low on wide receiver, yeah, throw him in that W2 and let him go. I mean, this is consistent weeks now where he's put up, I think, over 12 points in fantasy. He's getting just as many targets as London. Kirk Cousins has a history of being able to support 2 really good wide receivers in an offense. This offense is looking better and better every week. So, I think as Kirk continues to heal and he starts feeling more confident and is throwing better, I think Mooney's just to the moon.
I mean, Kirk Cousins had 58 attempts.
Yeah.
10% completion percentage for 509 yards. So, I mean,
he broke the single yardage throwing record on the night that they inducted Matt Ryan into the Falcons, honor ring or whatever. And it's like, wow, way to stick it to him on the way in here, Cousins.
It was a great game, great story. Now I'm looking at this target share. So you got Kyle Pitts getting 8 targets. And then I picked up this guy in a few leagues because I thought maybe he could continue to be a thing and possibly take Kyle Pitts' targets away if they decide they're just not going to go to Kyle Pitts anymore. But Ray McLeod got 9 targets and caught 6 for 66 yards. So, I mean, Pitts got 8 targets, 7 for 88. Is next week, Connor, is this going to be back to like Kyle Pitts getting nothing again? Is Ray McLeod a thing? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, when you throw that ball, everybody has to get – when you throw the ball that much, everybody has to get involved. So I'm not that confident in both of those guys moving forward. I think you're happy with the production got out of Pitts if you started him, because I know a lot of people probably sat him this week because of what he's done, in the passing game the last couple of weeks. But
I played Otten over him last night in a league, and didn't feel great when he outscored Otten. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's like tight ends the last 2 years, not just this year, but last year was the same way. Besides maybe the last half of the season when you had McBride and you had Laporta break out. Besides that, the last 2 years have been really rough for tight ends. Period. So.
Right, got you. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So, and just, I mean, the usage for Bijan is just he needs to touch the ball. I mean, he touched the ball. He had 12 carries. He had 3 receptions, but that's 15 plays to him. I think he has to have like 20 to 22 a game. I mean,
the guy's your prototypical 3-down back, and he could do it all. He can catch. He can, he can run through the line. I mean, I don't understand the usage for Bijan. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. All right, we'll go over to the Bucs side, and I mean Baker, the candlestick maker. I mean, he didn't throw for a ton of yards, only 180, but he's efficient. 79.2% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, and the most important thing is no turnovers. He didn't turn the ball over.
Yep.
So
he's running a little bit. I think this is going a little bit under the radar, but he's putting up about 45 rushing yards a game, and that helps for a fantasy football QB. That's pretty big.
What sucks is the NFL overtime rules. Okay, can we? Because I mean, Baker played almost as perfectly as you can play that game. Like and then they lose because they don't touch the ball for the last 14
Minute
minutes of the
and a half,
game. Because they had one possession at the end that they punted away because of a stupid missed face mask. But there has to be some way we get in here where both teams are able to touch the ball. I mean, they fixed the playoff rules so that it's that way. I don't understand why they just didn't do regular season that way.
No, I think you're right on that, Connor. That each team should touch the ball in overtime. There's no reason why one team should get screwed on a coin flip.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
You're leaving it up to luck. That's dumb. I mean,
Yeah, they should just and actually what they should do is just make it more like college. Just totally eliminate the time. Just give them possessions. Give them the ball at the 50. Each team gets the ball at the 50, and then you just go. Either and then whoever times out, or as far as like don't make the 4 downs or kick a field goal or score a touchdown, then it's over. Yeah. Then you don't have to because they're worried about player safety. All the games are too long. Then just cut out the time.
Or don't have 17 games. Like I don't understand. Like you made it 17 games and worried about player safety. You're talking about going to 18 and we can't have 2 more minutes of a game.
No, that'll never happen. That they want to continuously increase the game, they play it. We all know it's a big money. So, all right, we'll go to the backfield. And yeah, Zub, you're right. Baker had 6 carries for 42 yards. So yeah, he's definitely running the ball. Well, the backfield was split. I mean, Rashid White, 10 carries for 72, 7.2 yards a carry, which was really good. Bucky Irvin, 4.9 yards a carry. He had 9 carries, 44. Going forward, this is going to be a split backfield. I mean, even in the game yesterday when Irving fumbled the ball in a critical situation, they put him right back on the field the next time they got the ball. So they're not going to bench him. It's going to be a 2-headed monster going forward.
And unlike the Lions, these two are not good enough to be a 2-headed backfield where they're both viable every week, whereas, with Montgomery and Gibbs, they're both really great running backs. I mean, Gibbs is a powerhouse or Montgomery's a powerhouse. Gibbs is really good with the pass. And he's
Homer. We get it. You're wearing Lions gear.
Just saying, throwing it out there.
So, and then as far as the receiving core, big burly Mike Evans shows how much of a Hall of Famer he is, scoring 2 touchdowns, uncoverable, 7 targets, 5 grabs. So he was good. Cade Otton was just, pretty good. He got his 4 targets, 44 yards, not bad. Chris Godwin, involved 6 targets, 5 catches, didn't get in the end zone, which killed my anytime touchdown bet. And then this was very interesting. So he only got 2 receptions, Sterling Shepard. And I found out from what I heard yesterday, unless I was wrong, that I think the announcer said that Baker played with Sterling Shepard in college. Connor, you're on mute. You muted yourself again. There you go.
I had my cat in the background. I wanted them yelling. But, yeah, they played the last year in Oklahoma together.
Okay, so that's probably why. That's probably where my anytime touchdown for Chris Godwin went with, was to Sterling Shepard. So,
well, yeah, and then he had Godwin wide open as well as Mike Evans on the first touchdown Mike Evans caught. So,
thank you, Baker. Thank you. So that was the Thursday night game. We finally got a really good shootout. It was a really good game, which is kind of weird because they're usually those games on Thursday, especially if they're division rivals, are like just low scoring and defense and mistakes, and it was actually a really, really good game. So
there was a ton of defensive mistakes. Let's not.
Yeah.
The last touchdown, the overtime touchdown was horrible for the defense. So.
But that's twice this year that Captain Kirk brought his team back from the depths of the sea and got him into overtime and ended up winning the game. So pretty good Thursday night game for this week. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to get into the overachievers and busts. We have a little slide for you guys, and I'm going to hand it over to Connor, and he can explain what all these crazy numbers you're looking at.
Yeah, so this is just a list of our last Ballsville redraft we did. This is the order they went in. Josh Allen went 101, Jalen Hurts 102, so on and so forth. And then Kyron Williams was the 212. And this is a super flex Ballsville, if you don't know. We only do super flex in Ballsville. So this is just, and then their points that they scored through week 4 on here. So like Bijan's, his numbers from last night aren't on here. Anybody that played last night, their numbers aren't on here. So the red you'll see are the lowest points. So you'll have McCaffrey, who hasn't played, obviously. For that reason, you have Puka Nacua, who's only played one game, not even one game, basically one quarter of a game. And then A.J. Brown, who's only played one game. And then you have a couple of guys here that you see, like Tyreek Hill is a little shaded red, Garrett Wilson, Anthony Richardson, and then Bijan are the other names that I think we should talk about as bust in the first 2 rounds. Zubikis should say that Bijan is the biggest bust in the first 2 rounds, but I'll disagree. I think the chart disagrees, but injury without the injuries, he could be up there for sure. I think Garrett Wilson is another one that really hasn't had any injury issues. It's just been a slow start to the year. Tyreek Hill obviously had Tua go down, and that's definitely hurt his value. And then Anthony Richardson, I mean, JoJo was talking about he went down with an injury last game, and he did, but he really wasn't playing that well up until then. He had the 31 points, I want to say, week 1. And then, as you see, he's only scored about 21 points since then. So some of those names on there probably should have went earlier. You got Saquon down there with 98. He's like RB2. Kyron, 81. He's looked really good. That should have went a little earlier. But then you have some guys that you really were hoping that were going to bust out, like CeeDee Lamb. He's had an average year. Jamar Chase had an average year, although he had a couple of good games last couple of weeks. Breece Hall as well has had an average year so far from what you were expecting. So,
all right, looks like we lost Zoobs for a little bit. Well, yeah. Let's go. There we go. We got him back. I think we got him back. He's in the background somewhere.
Yeah, I got you.
What's up, Zoobs? All right, we got you back.
Yeah, my internet was going wonky.
All right,
that Alaska stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go in order. We'll look at let's do quarterbacks first, then we'll go running backs and receivers. So gotcha. We'll go quarterbacks that were drafted high that stick out, and then we'll maybe see what quarterbacks should have been, should have been in the first 2 rounds as far as, since this is a super flex format. So I'll go first, and I think the biggest one to me is Pat Mahomes. He's not playing good football. You can't really blame it on weaponry. He's had pretty much the weaponry there the whole year. I'm not going to count Hollywood Brown, but he just doesn't really look good. The Chiefs to me are a fraudulent 4-0. Their defense has been carrying them. So to me, I think it was Pat Mahomes. What about you, Connor?
I think it's Anthony Richardson to me that sticks out the most, just because of how well he played week 1. I think Zubikis was talking about a little bit pre-show that like 70 or 80% of all his points came week 1, and he looked really good week 1, and you're confident in him moving forward. And then the last 3 weeks or so, you've been like, he's thrown some bad interceptions. He's fumbled the ball. He's ran. Don't get me started on the play calling. He got hurt, and then they ran a QB draw the next play he was in. It made no sense to me. And so some of that has to do with it. But I think him going that high, especially after only having 3 games last year, played, was a little high in the first place, especially over names like Kyler Murray or Dak Prescott and stuff like that. I think Dak went 1 before him, but even going around Dak as QB1 last year is kind of crazy.
What about you, Zoobs?
You guys took those 2. I think Kyler Murray, the one that kind of sticks out, even though he's in the green there. But I was expecting Kyler Murray to be a lot better this year. I was expecting him to rush more this year. And he rushed a little bit in those first couple games, but the last 2 games, I don't think he's really had a lot of rushing production. And I don't know what's going on there with the Cardinals. So I was expecting a lot more. I was really high on Murray this year. So yeah, it's surprising to me that he doesn't have, more like, I don't know, maybe Lamar numbers, So just kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, he had that 1 week that he really burst on the scene, and everybody was like, that was loving him. And I mean, I was really high on Murray too, as everybody knows. I think he's my second most rostered QB behind Jaden Daniels, and I was really, loving the way Murray's playing through at least the first 2 weeks, and then he's really calmed down the last 2 weeks. So,
got you.
I expect him to pick it up.
Zoobs, why don't you give your quarterback that you think that's outperforming his draft capital?
Boy, let's talk about Lamar Jackson there. There's a real case there. Just looking at that number, man, Lamar should have maybe gone 101 over Josh Allen. I don't think you're mad about what Josh Allen has done, but Lamar has just looked really good. I think he's making a case for another MVP run this year. He is operating that offense really well. And even though the passing is low, the Ravens are always low at passing, so that's no big surprise. But what he's been doing with his legs has just been amazing. So,
got you. Well, I'm gonna there's I know there's two quarterbacks that I would have had that should be up in this round, and I know Connor knows one of them for sure. So I'm gonna leave that one to him. So, but the other one I'm looking at is it's looking like he's not seeing ghosts this year, and that's Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold is got 11 TD passes this year, 930 yards passing. He's only had 3 interceptions. So, and he's got his team to an undefeated season. Undefeated season. So, I think he should for sure be into the. If we were drafting again for Superflex, he would be second round quarterback.
Yeah,
I think that's a little high.
Really?
Second round. Yeah, I mean, he's looked great. Don't get me wrong, but he's still Sam Darnold.
You can't argue with the facts though, and the numbers, man. They're right in your face.
Yeah, through 4 weeks of the season. If you're drafting for the 4 weeks of the season, you'll be QB3 or something. But I think one name that should have maybe made it up here, and I think he was faded because he was a rookie, was Jaden Daniels.
for sure.
I think he's shown that he's ahead of everybody else as a rookie quarterback. I mean, Bo Nix has looked what you thought Bo Nix was going to be, honestly. Drake May hasn't played. J.J. McCarthy got hurt, and Caleb has really got off to a wonky start with his offensive line, which you really can't blame on him too much. But he's made some bad throws as well. But Jaden Daniels with the rushing upside, I think you probably, if like Scott said, if you redrafted today, Jaden Daniels might be a first-round pick, honestly, the way he's played.
Zoobs, you got some background something? Is that your connection that's like chirping?
I don't think so. I don't hear.
I think he's probably on his phone. He's on his phone.
Oh, you're on your phone?
Yeah, I had to switch over to my phone.
That seems like it's. Yeah, I think it was his connection.
Yeah, it's all good. It's not too bad on my end, at least. I don't know.
But
it's not like somebody's trying to make a smoothie right behind him or anything.
I know. Well, yeah, that's pretty much over. But I got the stinky eye for that. So, well, there's one quarterback I thought for sure Connor was going to bring up, and he didn't. So I'll bring him up.
Jordan Love.
No, not. Come on, it's the number 1 quarterback. He was number 21 in the beginning of the year, and he's number 1 right now.
Baker.
And he has 110 completions out of 153 attempts for 1,164 yards, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. And like Zubik said earlier, he's got 18 rushes, 170 yards, and another 2 touchdowns. He's got 13 total touchdowns, and that's Baker, the candlestick maker. So, Connor, where are you drafting Baker?
If we did it today, I mean, Baker's got to be probably another, high-end second-round pick, I'd say still. But, I mean, some of these guys like Baker and like Sam Darnold, you're like, when is the the other shoe going to drop on them, and they're going to revert back to what they were.
But Baker was doing it last year. Though,
Baker was good last year, but he wasn't a top 5 quarterback. He was good, but not great, which he's played so far this year. I still think they probably revert. The way they're playing right now, they still have top 10 upside, like as the season goes on. But I still think they're probably going to finish as a QB2. I don't expect them to carry on this type of year all season long, but they definitely could. Sam and Baker, that's what I'm referring to.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to running backs. So, how about some running backs that underperformed? I'm going to take away the injuries. Anyone that's been injured. So we're gonna even though obviously McCaffrey's been a big bust, it's injury related. So we're just not gonna gloss over that. We're just gonna talk about guys that have been healthy that have not reached their draft capital. And there's two of them that they're kind of close together. I'll leave one for Zoobs. I know Zoobs is going to probably see Bijan, but I'm going to look at Breece Hall. I don't think Breece Hall's been, he was going probably the second running back, third running back, in drafts. And, it doesn't help having Braylon Allen there. The Jets offense has been pretty stagnant this year, but I think we expected a lot more out of Breece Hall, especially in the receiving game. He was, if I remember right, he had about 70 receptions last year or something. He's just not catching the ball this year. So he's my, kind of bust in the first round this year. What about you, Connor?
Yeah, I think you're still content with picking him just because he's produced some. He's had one bust game. Like I think he only had 3 points last week, and that's really what's bringing his total down. Besides that, I'm not going to take out injuries. I'm going to talk about Christian McCaffrey because I think this is one place you should always be wary of taking a running back so early. Because he's in the top, 6 to 8 picks in a super flex draft. That's just really high for a running back. And that's what I said, all season long, all off season long is I'm just not comfortable taking a running back there. I think that's too high for any running back, especially when running backs haven't repeated RB1 seasons in I don't know how long, in a few years at least. And he had Madden curse on top of that. And so I think that's what's gave him his Achilles injuries. He was, trying to play too many video games. But like I said, I don't think running back should be going in the top 6 to 8 of super flex draft. Besides his injury, I think this was just a bad pick in the first place.
Well, I agree with you on that. I'm not a running guy in the first round either. What about you, Zoobs? I know you're going to go the Bijan way.
The biggest bust? Come on, the biggest bust. No, the thing about Bijan that just has me scared is they're just using Algier so much. And I get it, Algier's a decent running back, but he's not Bijan. And why are you putting him in third down situations? Why are you putting him in overtime when this game is on the line? What is this usage? What is Bijan? Is this going to course correct over the year? It's going to take an Algier injury for Bijan to really take off. And Connor made the argument last night with me where he was like, you're not disappointed. He's still been getting, 16, 18 points a game, kind of the same as Breece, but I'm disappointed. And I agree. He's maybe not the biggest bust necessarily, but for where people were drafting him, he is a huge disappointment. So,
yeah, no, I agree with that. When you're drafting these guys in a super flex is like 5th, 6th, 7th overall, you're expecting at least 20 points a week. Now you got Bijan's not. He's 9th in carries. He's got 67 carries. He's still got 18 reception, but he's only averaging in a PPR 13.5 points. That's not getting it done. Breece Hall's averaging 16.7 points. That's not getting it done. You need 20 plus points a game.
I'm getting that kind of production from people like Tony Pollard. I'm getting that kind of production from guys who I took in my 0 RB builds. So it's like if
I'll
I
tell you
wanted to
what
do
guys.
that,
I'll tell you what guys are around him around these points. Brian Robinson, 16
yeah,
points a game averaging. James Conner, 14.6 a game. Aaron Jones, 18.6 a game. David Montgomery, 17.4 a game. So these guys are getting you your top. These guys that you're drafting in the mid to early first round and super flex leagues are getting you the same production that guys that if you're a 0 RB drafter like Connor and I, you're getting in the middle in the middle rounds. 5,
Yep.
6, 7 rounds. So you have to consider these guys busts because they're not getting you the production that you need. So let's talk about some guys that deserve to be there or should be a little higher or kind of came out of nowhere. So I'll go with Connor. Connor, who's your running back that needs to be a little bit higher on this list?
Alvin Kamara. I mean, I had him up here, and I don't know. Preseason, I was probably the highest on anybody on the panel. Anybody that's been on the pod, everybody's calling me crazy. They were barking at me. They were telling me I'm crazy for having Alvin Kamara as a top 10 RB. And I had him as my 10th RB, and I was telling people in the Discord, if you're not in the Discord, you're in it, but I was kind of mad at myself for not having him higher. I wish I had him as a top 5. I knew he had that potential. There were so many guys I was confident in, Bijan and Brees, CMC I didn't see going down and stuff like that. But I'm kind of mad at myself for not being higher on Alvin Kamara and not taking him everywhere I could. I mean, anywhere that he fell to me where I thought, this is great value, I even reached on him some. I did, but I think he was my most drafted running back in all redrafts, and I just don't have him much in Dynasty. I don't think he's a Dynasty buyer by any means, but for redraft, he was my favorite player to pick throughout any position. So.
Got you. Okay, Zoobs, I'm going to run off for a little bit. Go ahead and talk about yours.
Sure. Saquon Barkley. I mean, man, why were we picking him in the second round? I saw him drop to the third round a couple times. What were we thinking? And I know what we were all thinking collectively as a community. We were thinking, oh, he's not going to get the touchdowns. It'll still be Jalen Hurts at the goal line, and he's not going to get the passing work like he was in New York. It doesn't matter. That guy looks good behind that offensive line in Philly right now. If I had to redraft right now, I would have taken him over Bijan. I would have probably taken him over Brees. I would have definitely taken him over Christian McCaffrey. So, I think I think him and Kamara are honestly neck and neck right now for who should have been the 101 in the running back room.
Yeah, for sure. He's looked so good in that offense, and he's still not getting as many goal line carries as you may think with his points because they're still running some tush push, and I still think he could have more points if they stop doing that. I mean, he could be RB1 in the clear right now if they didn't run tush push. So,
okay, we were talking about Barkley, right?
Yes.
Yes, we are. Yep. I'm making the case for he should have maybe been the RB1 picked overall this year. So, I think you make an argument for him and Kamara for sure. They both look just amazing right now. So,
okay. Well, then I'm gonna bring one up. This guy, I think I know I touted early in the year that he should have been a back end RB1, possibly early second running back, and it's Kyren Williams. I've been on the Sean McVay one running back train. Everybody was saying in the fantasy community, they brought in Blake Corum. He's gonna end up splitting carries. He's gonna take 60-40 split. Kyren gets hurt all the time, and I was like, no, man, you got to draft this guy early, early and often. So he's averaging 20 points a game, 73 carries. He's fifth in carries. He still gets receptions out of the backfield. So definitely the RB1 in a league where there are not a lot of bell cow running backs. So I think Kyren Williams was definitely underappreciated this year and should have been drafted higher.
Yeah, and it's not only that. He's had some injuries go his way. He's getting more pass work because you have Puka and you have Cup out. So.
Yep. No, yeah, for sure. So, okay, let's move on to receivers. We are going to move on to receivers, and we are going to look at some guys possibly that underachieved. So we'll start with Zoobs this time. Go ahead, Zoobs.
Oh boy, where to start on this one? You know what I'm saying? It's been. I honestly, I think for me, and I know we didn't want to talk about injuries, and this is, this is an injury not to him, but to his quarterback. It's Tyreek Hill. He was the consensus 101 running back, wide receiver off the board in a lot of places and a lot of leagues. I saw him go first in a ton of leagues I drafted in. And I know the quarterback situation has been real rough there, but he's an alpha. An alpha should still be able to produce, you would think, with a bad quarterback. But I mean, and admittedly, this quarterback room is real bad right now down there in Miami. So, but yeah, for me, for the guy who you took as some people were taking him as the 101 in their drafts. I mean, some of the redrafts I saw him go that high, especially if it wasn't a 2 QB league. So, yeah, that's my biggest disappointment right there.
What about you, Connor?
I would say Garrett Wilson, just because he hasn't had an injury. I was really high on Garrett Wilson. He looked so good week 1, even against like a tough matchup. I was just expecting more, and I still think he picks it up some. He's had a couple rough matchups, and Aaron Rodgers. I said this to one of my buddies. Aaron Rodgers' offensives don't only take talent; they take timing and they take knowing the offense. And if you don't know that, you're not. I mean, he's thrown it to Lazard because he trusts that they're on the same page, and I just don't think him and Garrett Wilson have clicked yet. And I think once they do that, then you'll see Garrett Wilson taking the points that we all thought they would early in the season. But I think it's going to take maybe another game or two for them to actually get it going. So,
got you. Well, I'm gonna go with and it's not. I'm not saying that this guy's a boss or anything like that. He's not a boss. He's still an elite player. I just think that a lot of us probably expected him to get the like Malik Neighbors treatment, where he's just going to get peppered with 1 million targets every game like last year, and that's CeeDee Lamb. He's not really getting the target share that he got last year. It's kind of been spread around a little bit. Tolbert's been a little bit involved. Cooks has been a little bit involved. Ferguson's been a little bit involved. So he's really like 17th in targets, 32. He's only got 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. I thought those numbers would be a little higher. I mean, if you look at guys that are, in the 40s, and you're looking at like Darnell Mooney and Chris Godwin and Nico Collins. I mean, these guys are in the mid 40s for targets. So I just think where you drafted him, he's still obviously a first round talent. I just think that we expected a little bit more. I expected him to be in that top 5 in targets and not like in the late teens for that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm wearing his shirt right now. He's had a couple of games that he's gotten frustrated. Not just, I mean, the whole Cowboys offense has looked frustrated at times. So I think they'll be fine moving forward. They really picked it up somewhat last week, and then I think they'll carry that on. So.
Okay, all right. We'll go with. I'll start off with the receiver that I think should be in the first. I think should be in the first round here. Coming from out of Michigan, everybody thought that he was going to be sharing the ball with all these receivers, and he was going to be left out, and this and that, and everybody passed on him, and he was going in the 3rd round and sometimes 4th round. And this guy's a bona fide man. He's a stud. He's in that big burly guy situation like Mike Evans, who I love, and it's Nico Collins. I mean, this guy's just a monster. Catches everything. At times is uncoverable. He's third in the league in targets at 43, 30 receptions, almost 500 yards. Touchdowns could be a little bit more. He's only got 2, but he is the alpha in this offense, which is high powered. So I'm huge Nico Collins fan. I've always been, and he'll definitely be probably a back end of the first round talent next year. Go ahead, Connor.
There's 2 names I want to talk about, and it's Malik Neighbors. Obviously, he's performed. I mean, you're trading him for CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Dynasty at sometimes. He looks so good. He's getting the targets. We didn't know if Daniel Jones could throw it in his range, and that's kind of why we were fading him. And sometimes he's not throwing in his range, and Malik Neighbors is still catching the ball. And he's looked so good talent-wise. He looked smooth after the catch. He's won jump balls at his size that he probably shouldn't win at times. And so he's looked great. The other name is Jaden Reed. A lot of people are fading him, saying Christian Watson is going to be the wide receiver 1. I don't know who could have said that, but a lot of people are fading it because thinking it was going to be just a competition, all around with 4 receivers and Kraft and Jacobs. But Reed has really dominated that receiving core, except 1 week when Love was out. And so he's looked, they're getting him the ball end around, screens, down the field, mid, first downs. They're throwing him, a ton of targets and trying to get him in, some end arounds and stuff like that. So if I was to redraft, they would be higher on my list, especially Neighbors. He would sneak into the first 2 rounds for sure.
All right. Good analysis. I'll eat some crow on Jaden Reed.
And Christian Watson at the same time.
Yeah, but I still think Jordan Love will finish is one of the top 12. What did we say? Top 12, top 10. I still think he'll finish the top 10 quarterback.
We'll see.
Okay, Zoobs, give me your WR1.
How about DK Metcalf? Had a bit of a slow start. That first game was kind of rough, but boy, he looks like the alpha in that wide receiver room in Seattle right now, doesn't he? I mean, he was putting up I got him on my home league. He's been putting up consistently 28, 29 points the last 3 weeks, and he is just dominating for them right now. So I think DK probably should have snuck into the second round. I mean, he was dropping I saw him definitely in the third and the fourth a couple times. So he's still that guy. He is that guy in Seattle. So
yeah, I think I slept on DK a little bit this year. I mean, he is 11th in targets, 24 receptions, 366 yards. He's only got 2 tutties. But they do have a really good receiving core there. So as long as Geno keeps airing it out every week, he's definitely going to be probably flirting top 15 receiver all year. So yeah, I could definitely see.
I was going to say, if he gets those touchdowns up a little bit, he might go into the top 12. But yeah, at least top 15 for the year.
I wish you would have taken a couple from Kenneth Walker last week. Freaking the last touchdown lost me in fantasy matchup.
So that's our that's kind of some busts and overview. You guys got anything else before we move on? Pretty good with that.
I think maybe another 2 names to mention are J.K. Dobbins.
Yes,
as a receiver or as a running back, and then Chris Godwin as a receiver. A couple names that are really outperforming where they're being drafted. Yeah,
definitely Dobbins for sure. I mean, I think the whole fantasy community was kind of split. I kind of just wanted to stay away from it. I didn't trust Gus Bust at all. So I figured, if JK could just stay healthy, he could probably do really well in that offense. But, he's looking really good.
How about Deontay Johnson now that he's got competent quarterback play?
Yeah, that's another good one right there. Deontay Johnson. It's kind of hard to acquire him now that the cat's out of the box, but
don't be offering Zach Moss for him.
It was just a tickler. Just throwing a tickler out there for you. So I mean, you never came back with a counter.
Yeah, because I didn't know where to go from there. You're offering me Zach Moss.
Well, you never came back with a counter. You could have came back with a counter.
I'm not a big fan of counters in redraft. It's hard to establish where you are more so than dynasty. I'm not a big redraft trader in the first place. I try to stay out of that. I draft so well sometimes I don't even need to. So.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
All right, let's move on to what everybody likes to hear, and that's the trade talk. Sean's not here to give his trade talk thing, but yeah, it's the trades. And we got some pretty good doozies this week. So we're gonna break these trades down, and I'm sure the panel here is gonna be split. So this one, go ahead. I'll let you break this down. These trades down, Connor.
Yeah, so this is one that I made. Well, you'll see another trade in this league well.
What's the setup? Let everybody know what the setup.
So this is the typical Ballsville setup. 12-team PPR, no tight end premium, dynasty superflex. And so this is our second year in this league. I actually thought at the beginning of this year I was going to be a rebuilder still. I had 4 of the top 5 picks coming into this year. So I had Caleb Williams, I had Malik Neighbors, Jaden Daniels, Roma Dunze coming into this year. And I thought I was just going to be waiting on next year, had my first round pick still. But D Payne was a contender. He's really got off to a slow start, 0-4. He was looking to make some moves. And so I approached him probably 2 weeks ago or last week when he became 0-3 about moving on from, some of his talent because his team was underperforming. He wasn't, really going for it. And then he became 0-4 and he became more open to it. So this trade here has been in discussion for a while. We talked about this probably for 24 hours straight, me, D-Payne, and Ethan Blinka. We actually had Alex in this trade as well at one point, and you'll see another move that was made after this in the same lead that Alex is included in. So I was looking to get some more running backs. I had no running backs because I'm not a running back guy, and so if I'm rebuilding, I'm not going to have running backs. So I was trying to buy some running backs. I had J.J. McCarthy because I was, again, rebuilding, but I'm 3-1 with the most points for right now. So I was trying to compete a little bit. So I went and got Saquon and Levis for JJ in a first. I didn't think I gave up too much for Saquon. And then Levis still provides me some value that JJ doesn't this year. So D-Payne, again, like I said, was trying to rebuild some of his talent, got rid of a couple of youngish guys, but definitely he didn't have his first round pick that he got back from Ethan Blinka, 10. And then he got Brian Thomas Jr., which is another high-end rookie. And then Ethan Blink is trying to make a move for quarterback, obviously, and he went down to Worthy. He gave up, his first round, D-Payne's first round pick, but he still has 3 of them, and got J.J. McCarthy for next year and Worthy. So, and Ethan Blink is 0-4, going to for sure have the first pick next year. So he was fine giving up Brian Thomas for a quarterback.
Got you. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of laid it out really good. I hate trades with like a lot of moving pieces, a lot of guys. It's kind of hard to like see who really got the best of the deal. But as far as you saying you gave up too much for Barkley, or didn't you said you didn't get enough back for Barkley?
No, I didn't.
Or you gave up Barkley?
I just said I didn't think I gave up a lot for Barkley. I felt like it was a decent deal for Barkley for my team because JJ's not going to play this year, and my first hopefully is a later first. So,
yeah, no, I think everyone got what they wanted.
Yeah, I don't see anybody. I don't see where anybody kind of, made out better than anybody else. It seems pretty even keeled across the board.
Yeah, and I really like it for D-Payne's team.
Yeah, I like it. So I was going to say, I like D-Payne, getting, Brian Thomas and then getting 2 firsts in 2025. Yeah. So if he's looking, are those going to be? So
that it's my first, which is probably going to be late. But then it's his first and he's 0-4. But the reason he needed to make a move to get his first back is because he's 0-4, but he has the most points for. And so Blinka was okay with giving up that, as it's not an early first right now because he's first in points for. And so it's right now it's like the sixth pick because he's not in the playoffs, but he also has the most points for. So it's like the sixth pick right now. It could drop down maybe to the 102 at best. He does have quite a bit of a lead at the most points for in this league, so it's going to be hard for him. But as you'll see, he gets rid of some more points on his team here in a second. If you want to, we'll just go ahead and go to the next trade here, where he gets rid of Mike Evans, Josh Jacobs, and Brandon Ayuk. And gets back Jamison Williams and Rashee Rice. As we know, Rice might miss the rest of the year, but I mean, there's been some skeptical things that say he might play. I don't really believe too much of that, but so he's trying to punt this year, getting rid of Evans, who's older, Jacobs, who's approaching that age, and Ayuk, who's really hasn't produced what everybody thought he would. So he gets back, Jamison Williams, who's very young, Rashee Rice, who's not going to play this year most likely, but is still very young.
Now is Alex in that league? Is he contending?
So he's 3-1. His team is he's had it's a little rough. He's had some injuries. Obviously, he had Rashee Rice go down. I think he had one other big one. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head, but yeah, he's trying to make a push because he's 3-1. So he's in the playoffs. He's in the top 4, I want to say, trying to make a push for a few more points, especially with that Rice injury. He was kind of hurting, but getting Evans, Jacobs, and Ayuk definitely helps out his lineup. I think he gave up, in my opinion, he gave up a little much value-wise to try to compete this year because none of those pieces, besides maybe Ayuk, has value long-term. And I think Rice is huge. But the goal to Dynasty is to win. And if you're not, Rice isn't going to help you win. It doesn't look like this year. Jamison Williams has been in and out in some games. He's looked really good at games. But I think he's sold low a little bit on Rice, in my opinion. I think he could have got a little bit better deal, but the guys he got are pretty good. So
God, I was just about ready to go to Zubikis.
You give your analysis, Stout. Let's hear it.
Yeah, no. I actually like both sides. I wish Alex could have found a way to keep Jamison Williams. He's still a young asset, but I understand that you have to give something to get something, and having Rice be hurt, definitely is not, like you said, if he's in win now and he wants to win, it's not going to help him this year, and he's probably might not even help him the beginning of the year next year. So Mike Evans, I think, is going to play another season or two, so that that getting Mike Evans is nice. Jacobs, I think, is going to be nice for a couple years, getting that RB1. But and then, like I said, D-Payne gets a young asset, and he can afford to wait on Rashee Rice. So that's really the only way in a dynasty to be able to acquire Rashee Rice is if you can wait a year, and you're in a rebuild. He's still a young enough receiver tied to an elite quarterback, So I like it for both sides. Especially when they're going in different directions. What do you think, Zoobs?
Yeah. Again, I don't think there's really a winner or a loser here. It makes a lot of sense for both sides. I do like the Rice as that rebuilding piece for sure, for the next couple of years. Because like you said, he might get a slow start next year, but after that it should be wheels back up again. So, and then Alex, he's going to compete. I mean, especially with Evans. Evans is he's up there in the top echelons. He still looks really good this year. So he might be able to compete next year too. He might be right in the same spot again. So
yeah, and with Rashee Rice, I mean, another thing to remember is, how much longer does Travis Kelce play? I mean, he doesn't really look that great. So I mean, is this it for him this year? I mean, is he going to come back next year? I mean, if Kelsey's not there anymore, I mean, now it's all Rashee Rice. I mean, it kind of already was, but then next year it's going to be all Rashee Rice and whatever else they decide to do at wide receiver, because who knows if Hollywood Brown's coming back. We know where these guys are there. So getting Rashee Rice, I think it's the perfect piece for a rebuild.
Yep, I agree. And just pre-injury, Rice's value was sky high in Dynasty, and that's kind of why I don't like this trade that much. Like for Westlights, I mean, it's not that I hate it because he gets winning pieces, but Rice, right, like pre-injury, like right before it, he was, you could sell him to some people for Marvin Harrison Jr. straight up. You could sell him for a little bit on top of him for Neighbors. You could sell him for a little bit on top of him for a CeeDee Lamb or a Jefferson. And so his value to me is still pretty high. But I would have liked to see maybe Westlights did another piece that has long-term value. I don't think, like I said, besides Ayuk, who might have some long-term value, he hasn't looked great in that offense right now, but he really gets Evans, who's a 1 to 2 year rental, Jacobs, who's probably a 1 to 2 year rental in that offense, with them drafting a running back and stuff. So I would just like to see what Rice's value is so high. See him get a little bit more value back in terms of long-term value.
Got you. I think it was a good, like I said, I think we all agree it was a pretty even trade. So it worked out for both teams.
Yeah. We got a couple more. I think this is, we're going to talk about some redraft trades here, some Ballsville redraft trades. And I think this is one you did, Scott.
Okay, so I'll kind of break this one down. Yeah, this is a 12-team redraft. Our low stakes, which Zoobs runs, the low stakes leagues. And I was basically, I'm 1-3 in this league, looking to shake things up. Basically, what's killing me is Mahomes and Garrett Wilson in that league. So what I was looking to do is looking to tear down at quarterback and improve my wide receiver, or actually improve my flex positions, because my flex positions were killing me. That's why I was 1-3. So a lot of injuries and stuff. So I decided to float out Pat Mahomes, and I had this owner come to me and offer me some pieces. So Geno's playing really well right now. I think with that new offense that's installed, it's going to be a pass heavy offense. Geno's playing really good, so I didn't mind tearing down a little bit from Mahomes to Geno, and then I was able to my surprise, able to freaking get Devontae Smith in the deal, which he'll be back next week. I don't even have to put him in my flex. I mean, he's going to go right in my WR2 slot, and I can move that WR2 back to flex. So as long as he doesn't have any lingering concussion issues, I love this deal going forward. What do you think, Zoobs?
I remember seeing this go through, and I think somebody's comment was, "Whoa, steal!" So yeah, I think you got a little bit better the end there, especially Tolbert for Smith. That's pretty. I remember seeing that and being like, "Whoo, that's a spicy meatball right there." But yeah, I like upgrade. It's funny to say upgrading from Mahomes to Geno Smith. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't compute right in the brain. But I mean, Mahomes is he's not. Like you said, they are the most fraudulent 4-0 team I think I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? And for fantasy, he's just not doing anything. So yeah, getting the upgrade to Geno Smith, and then Devontae Smith is that's wild.
Now, before I get into Connor, I just want to let everybody know I love Pat Mahomes. I mean, he was my number one quarterback coming in this year. I thought he was going to throw for close to 5,000 yards. And obviously, being in fantasy for so long, I know that, Geno's up here, Pat's down here. By the end of the year, it's going to equal out. They're going to be even. So I know that much. I like the upgrade from Tolbert to Smith. So, like I said, if you want to get something, you got to give something. And I think, right now it looks like, Pat's not very good. But I think between the quarterbacks, they'll even out towards the end of the year. But I think by the end of the year, Smith will be a huge upgrade over Tolbert. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, I agree. I think you got the better part of this deal, in my opinion. I see what TV's doing too, though. I mean, he's trying to hopefully bet on Mahomes picking it up. And if Mahomes, reaches his ceiling, he might, in the end, win this deal. But he hasn't looked like he will. The offense has looked, pretty bad, honestly. if like I said, if Mahomes reaches his ceiling, this is a great deal for TB. But if he doesn't, then I mean, I think it's a great deal for you. I mean, I love the Smith pickup. And Geno was not. I mean, right now his rushing upside is proved to be the difference between him and Mahomes. Their passing have been, I assume, probably about the same. But Mahomes isn't rushing the ball, so.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Geno's got a better cast of characters around him. I mean,
especially now with the injuries.
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
he's got
I think
Jason, DK.
Yeah, I think Seattle has one of the best receiving cores in the league. So I mean, Tyler Lockett is, he's a very good receiver. So he's old, but he's still a good receiver. And JSN looks great. He's up in the top in targets, and then we already talked about DK. So I'm betting on the come. I'm betting that these guys are gonna, Geno's gonna stay up there, and like I said, I'm 1-3. I had to kind of shake things up a little bit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is one of my only redraft trades here. I was, pertinent flex, like Scott said. I mean, a lot of these teams, I sold him actually right before I bought Johnson. This is a trade right before Andy Dalton was the quarterback, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, or it might have been right when it was announced or something like that. But Tua was my third quarterback. I was really hurting at, a different position. I already had two set quarterbacks. I think I have Josh Allen, and I don't remember who else my other quarterback was. Or maybe I had Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels or somebody in that league. But I was like 1-2 when I made this deal. I needed another receiver. And so I felt like Deontay Johnson was the move to make for a hurt Tua who might, have some lingering issues long term.
Got you. No, the thing with, I hate trading away quarterbacks. It just, but like I said, you don't know what's going to happen with Tua when he comes back. I mean, now that he's got a concussion this year, if he gets hit again, is it going to be a problem? So Deontay looks really good with the quarterback change. His targets are just going to continue to go up, and they're scoring points. I mean, just that little quarterback change, getting a guy in there that can run the offense. When they get Jonathan Brooks back, they'll have Brooks and Hubbard running the ball, which will open up the passing game a lot more. So, I like this deal. I mean, like Connor said, he's got two legitimate quarterbacks. So, Deontay Johnson at the end of the year could be back up in the top 12 as receivers. As long as Dalton keeps rifling the ball like he does. What about you, Zoobs?
Yeah, agreed. Do we know when Tua's coming back? Is it 4 weeks or?
Well, they have this week. They play this week, and then they have a bye next week. And I think he's able to come back the next week. So I don't know if he does, but I was more confident in him not coming back at the time, especially like I think when I traded him, I was like he might not even come back at all. So
yeah. Jojo writes in the chat. Welcome in, Jojo. He's the guy that does some of our DFS stuff on the ballsvillegame.com. He did say that there's Deontay could also be a trade candidate, but do we really want him to get traded? I mean, I think I want him to keep him in this offense.
Yeah, especially with Dalton at QB, he's like Deontay has looked like the number one option there, and Dalton's rocketing it to him, rifling it, whatever you want to call him, red rocket, red rifle. You can call him whatever, but he's been throwing Deontay Johnson the ball a lot. So,
I mean, what is even a good landing spot? I mean, I think he's in the best place possible for his fantasy value right now. I can't really think of is he going to go to the Chiefs or something? I mean,
I think he should stay where he's at. I mean, unless he wants to win, then he can want out of there. But I mean, right now he's doing real well in that offense. All right, we got another one.
Yeah, we got a couple. We got a few more. We're gonna move out of Ballsville trades. We have a couple of non-Ballsville trades coming up. This is a trade I made as soon as right before this week, I believe. And so I'm a huge Jaden Reed guy. Everybody knows I'm a huge Jaden Reed guy. I love getting this deal, especially with Rice going to be out. I'm a contender. I I had Cup go down, I had Rice go down, I had somebody else, another receiver go down, and so I needed a little bit more depth. And I got Mooney, who I thought was a great piece to add to Jaden Reed. And I think Jaden Reed and Rice are about the same value right now in Dynasty. So I thought getting Mooney on top of that was great. This is an offer I sent out, and it got accepted, and I was completely happy about that. So
Go ahead, Zoobs.
Love the Mooney pickup. Love it. He's my new hero for the year. So no, and this is Dynasty. This is Dynasty, Connor.
yeah, this is Dynasty, 12-team Dynasty PPR. This is a tight end premium league +1. Not that it matters in this trade, but it's mostly about this. I think there's about the same Ballsville rules besides it's tight end premium.
You know, I kind of have Reed and Rice close. You know,
Yeah.
pretty close in where I view them as fantasy options. I think Rice is a little bit better, but yeah, not playing this year. So yeah, getting Reed and Mooney on top of that, who looks like we said earlier, who looks like an every week kind of starter kind of situation. That's I think you really leveled up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this trade happened week 1, I would say I want the right side for sure. But I mean, Mooney just seeing how he's involved in this offense, the definitely the WR2 and this offense, he looks so good. It just, I mean, God, I mean, talk about getting out of Chicago, going from Chicago to Atlanta. I mean, maybe Chicago is a place where receivers go to die because. Getting out of there and getting into this offense with a legitimate quarterback throwing him the ball just unlocked them. So, I mean, this looks like a great trade for Dynasty. I mean, they're both young receiving assets. And, even though I love Rashee Rice, I mean, not only are these win now pieces, but they're also pieces for the future.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was talking about with Westlets. I would like to see him get a Jaden Reed or somebody that has long-term value like a Jaden Reed for Rice. And I made this deal before Darnell popped off this week too, which actually it feels great looking back at this trade.
But it was boiling up though. We knew that it was just. I mean, it wasn't like he just popped off this week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last 3 weeks he's been getting some really good target share in that offense.
Yep. We have a couple more non-Ballsville ones. I think we have 2 or 3 more. This is one that Westlets said it was non-Ballsville, but I think this basically the same rules. 12-team PPR.
All right, well let's make this one our last one, and then we'll get into some start sit.
Yeah, and so Westlets said Alex said he's giving up value to get Stroud. I understand that. I think he gave up a little too much in my opinion, but it's not tight end premium, so that helps a little bit. I'm not a big fan of White, but I think May and I think Kincaid and Metcalf just hold a little bit higher value than the other pieces around Stroud. Stroud's looked great, and I've bought Stroud before. I would like to see this without White. I think without White, this would be a great trade for Westlets, even though I'm not a big fan of White.
I would have, I mean, I just think he gave up a little bit too much. I mean, I don't really care about Rashid White, to be honest with you. Giving up Kincaid and Metcalf.
Yeah, that's too much. That's
just a little too much. I mean, if he could have maybe went from like a Kincaid to like maybe like if he had like somebody like a Pitts or somebody that was maybe a little bit less, like maybe try to get away from Mark Andrews or something like that. But I just, Kincaid, Metcalf still have a lot of value. Drake May, I mean, jury's still out on him, but I think he's going to be a good quarterback. And like I said, Komet and Rashid, and I don't care about the draft picks. It just, to me, it's like Stroud for 4 guys, so or really like 3 guys. So would you give up? To me, the trade looks like Stroud for May, Kincaid, and Metcalf. And I think it's just too much.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, I think, yeah, I would have downgraded Metcalf and Kincaid to something else. I wouldn't have given up those
I
two
mean, I'm
assets.
fine with he had to give up one of those
Yeah,
guys.
sure,
You
sure,
know,
sure, sure,
so
but
I
not
think,
both.
and even though it's not tight end premium, I still think I would have tried to get away from giving away Kincaid and trying to give him like another tight end that was not as good.
Yep. Yep. Like I said, I agree with that. We have two more, but we'll get to those next time.
Yeah, well, let's do some start sits, and then we'll get out of here.
Yep. So our first start sit question was asked by Zubikis, but this was a couple days ago. This is pre, and I wanted Zubikis to toot his own horn a little bit on why we gave such good options. He had neighbors sitting out, and he thought Shakir probably would sit out as well. So he was wondering if he should start Mooney, or if he had some other options like Ty Chandler, Jalen Tolbert, or Roshan Johnson. People in the Discord, if you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord. But people in the Discord, I mean, we're pretty unanimous about starting Mooney. And I think that's what Zubikis did, right?
Oh yeah, started Mooney. Oh yeah. And yeah, my opponent in my home league he was cursing me up and down. He said, "You got that many points off of Moon?" I was like, "Hey man, that's fantasy for you."
Yeah.
I still think Tolbert is a good play this weekend. I still think Tolbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to put up points, but yeah, the upside play was definitely Mooney for sure.
Yep, and that's exactly what I said. I said I think Tolbert's a sneaky play, but you got to go Mooney. Next question is from K Doggy Dog. Trey Sermon or Chase Brown?
Ooh.
I am not a Trey Sermon believer. I like Chase Brown a lot. He's very explosive, and Trey Sermon to me is not explosive, and he has suspect hands. So I'm going to go with the guy that's going to get easy points out of the backfield with the receptions and looks like a guy who could, split the seam and go 70 yards for a touchdown.
So no tool on this one? You're not going to use your own tool? No tool plug?
I'm not even going to go to the tool for that.
No tool one?
No, but if you want me to go to the tool, I can go to the tool on the ballsvillegame.com. You go to the tool sections and go to my matchup tool for week 5. And right now it's got Cincinnati. And you know what? Against Baltimore, and actually it's a 27th ranked matchup, so it's not a very good matchup. And then you got Indy, who's number 7 matchup. So actually I'm against my own tool, and I'm going with Chase Brown just because I think he's the better player.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Scott. Chase Brown just has so much passing upside. I mean, we saw it last week. He's their dink and dunk guy, so I would go with Chase Brown as well, personally. K Doggy Dog. What about you, Zeus?
But what I'm going to agree with my tool is I would not be playing Zach Moss.
Yeah, I think Chase Brown. He's out of those two, he's got the chance to house one. Take a short pass and house it to the end zone. So yeah, Chase Brown for sure.
Yes, like I said, I agree with both of y'all. K Doggy Dog has another one for us. Matthew Stafford or Derek Carr.
Couple old dudes.
Ooh.
All right, well, let's see. I'll go to the matchup tool.
Oh yeah, go for that one. You gotta go for
that one. And right now, Derek Carr is in the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are the number 11 matchup. So Derek Carr is number 11 is for the matchup tool. And then we got Matt Stafford's number 20. So against Green Bay. So I'm going to, even though the Chiefs are really good, I think it's going to be, God, this is really tough. I really don't want to go against my tool.
Not for a second time, right? Not for a second time.
But you know what? I may have to, because you know what? I'm looking at these two defenses, and it's going to be Monday night. I've already said that the Chiefs have been carried by their defense. The Saints have a great defense too. This could be a low scoring game because I'm looking at the implied team total for New Orleans. It's only 18.5, and Kansas City, I mean, they're at 24, but I still think it's going to be under that. So I'm going to go with Stafford. I think I will play Stafford. I think that's going to be more of a shootout game.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you, Scott. I think I would go with the higher upside play. I think Carr is the higher upside. We've seen it this season. He has more targets around him. Kamara's been playing well. Chris Olave played really well last game. Shaheed's played really well a couple games. I just think they have a lot of targets that they can get the ball to more so than the injured offense that the Rams are.
Got you. What about you, Zoobs?
Yeah, this would have been a lot easier 2 weeks ago when Carr looked on fire. I think I am still going Carr though. Like Connor said, he's got a full complement of weapons. He's not, that offense isn't really reeling right now. And I know it's a tough matchup, and I know that the Chiefs have a really good D. But yeah, I think I go for the upside of Carr. Getting a couple long bombs to Shaheed and hopefully Olave there. So.
All right, and just a side note for you DFS guys, especially JoJo in the chat, the implied team totals, if you're looking to game stack this game for DFS, implied team totals for Green Bay and the Rams. Green Bay is 25.25, and the Rams are 22.25. So this could be a shootout. This would be a really good game stack, especially with low-owned guys like Tutu Atwell and Whittington. And then on the Green Bay side, you'd have to see what Wicks's price tag is this week, and Tucker Kraft for the tight end. So that could be a nice little game stack.
Yep. And then that's it from K Doggy Dog. Hope you got your answers. We got two. All three of us answered Chase Brown, and then two of us answered Carr, and one for Stafford there. Our next question is from YFB David. He asked, it's a wild one, a wide receiver for a team, which I don't know if he is actually, but or a wide receiver 3. It's Demario Douglas versus Andre Lavas with however you say his name from Cincinnati.
Yoshi.
There you go. There you go. That was his question.
Well, I think I would just I'm not even going to go to the tool. I'm just going to go with the best player and then a better offense, and that's Yoshi Vach. He's proven that he's definitely a red zone threat. So even if he doesn't get volume with Higgins and Chase there, he's definitely they look for him Burrow looks for him in the red zone. So to me, I think it's pretty easy. I'm going to go with the better offense and the player that gets targeted in the red zone. What about you, Zoobs?
Same, yeah. Yoshua looks like the third option there, even over their, whatever tight end they're throwing out every week, whether it's Gesicki. Eric All, he's coming on a little bit stronger as the season's progressing, but he's just got that touchdown upside. So, yeah, Yoshua for sure.
Yeah, I'll agree with y'all too on that. Demario Douglas has had his moments. You can't trust Brissett. If they had May, they were working May in, maybe you go with Douglas just because he has some skill, but I just don't trust Brissett to get anybody the ball in that offense. I was really high on Jalen Polk as a rookie and really hasn't gotten much of a chance there. But I will say Eric All is my most drafted player out of any leagues, all of my leagues. So I just wanted to point that out there. We got a couple more. We got Rip Thang. He asked Cam Akers or Jerry Jeudy.
Oh,
I think that's a horrible, horrible decision you have to make there, buddy. But
go ahead, Zoobs. I'll let you take this one.
God, this one hurts my soul. Man, Cam Akers. I think you have to go Cam Akers here. I hate saying that. I think, and he's looked bad last week, but you got Mixon out, you got Dameon Pierce out. The matchup's pretty good. I think I'm going Akers on that one.
All right, so I'm going to go to the matchup tool because this is kind of close here. You can see that at the BALLSVILLEGame.com in the tool section. And going to Cleveland at Washington, who you can throw on because it is the number one ranked against the defense. And Washington just is a pass funnel. So they're the number one. But if I go to Cam Akers, who's on Houston versus Buffalo, And what can you do against Buffalo? You can run.
Run the ball.
They're the number 2 against the run. Number 2 giving up points for the run. So I got a pretty big decision, but I think that this game, the Cleveland-Washington game, is going to be a sneaky shootout. So I'm firing up another game that I could possibly, if you're in DFS, stack some Deshaun Watson with Jerry Jeudy. So I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I'll be the tie-breaking vote here, and I'll just preface by saying Cam Akers has burned me so many times that I'm never starting him again. So any question about Cam Akers will be against Cam Akers. So I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy here. I mean, Judy's looked good, a couple of weeks, but he's really never reached his potential. Neither has Cam Akers. But I like Jeudy, getting some targets, especially like Scott said. That game could be a shootout. Washington's offense has looked great. So hopefully Watson can throw the ball around some to Jeudy and not just, take sacks like he's been the last couple of weeks.
And this game's going to be a big test for Jaden Daniels because the Cleveland defense is good. So he can light up the Cleveland defense. And like I said, that's why I think that this, like Connor said, I think this could be a sneaky shootout because if Daniels is for real, this could be a kind of a sneaky shootout. The line's only 3.5. So the over-under is kind of down at 44.5. But like I said, these are the games you kind of look for. The implied totals are in the 20s for each team. So this could be a sneaky shootout. So, watch for that game in DFS.
Yeah. All right. We got 2 more questions here.
You guys convinced me. I'm changing my answer. Go Jerry Jeudy.
All right.
We got all 3 for Jerry Jeudy. Thank God. I hate Cam Akers. So we got 2 more questions here. We got E. Bailey 04. I don't think this is close to me personally, but I think he means Jaden Reed or Wicks for Green Bay's offense. So,
ooh, man.
Okay, so I'm just gonna make this real easy. I'm gonna take Jaden Reed, and it's just because I think he can do more with the ball in his hands. I think they'll find a way to get him on sweeps, jets, jet screens. That's the only way. I think Wicks is going to be good in this offense also, but Jaden Reed is like Connor said before, is the number 1 in this offense, right now, and they can find the way to get the ball in his hands more than I think they can with Wicks.
Yeah, I don't see. I like Wicks. I have Wicks, like I said, in every redraft I'm in. But you're not benching Jaden Reed for Dontavian Wicks. It's just not plausible to me that you would do that. If you can play both, maybe you can play both. But if that's who you're at, it just said Reed or Wicks. I don't know if there's another Reed out there. But to me, it's not really close. I'm going Jaden Reed all the way. He's been their wide receiver 1. He's not injured. 2 other guys are injured. I think that upticks both of theirs. But Jaden Reed even more.
Yeah, he's the more dynamic player for sure. He gets the stuff out of the backfield. Yeah, you're going Reed over Wicks, like you said. But yeah, if you're desperate for a flex play, I think you could play both and be okay.
Yeah, you could.
Yep. And our last one is by our friend JoJo over here. He's in a single QB league. He asked Jordan Love or Justin Fields in a single QB.
Ooh.
Matchup tool?
Yeah, I got to go to the matchup. So I think I know where I'm going to lean because let me just check something real quick. So right now, Green Bay, like I said, we talked before, they're the number 3 in the matchup tool against the Rams. I've already discussed it. I think this could be a shootout game for DFS. But let me see what Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh against Dallas is, Justin Fields is number 10. So it's a number 10 matchup. But like I said, I still believe in the Dallas defense. I think this game between Green Bay and the Rams are going to be a shootout. And how can I go against Jordan Love? Everybody knows I love Jordan Love. So I'm firing up Jordan Love, and I'm loving it.
Go ahead, Zoops.
That Rams defense looks horrible. Yeah, they have been horrible. Love is just going to eat them alive all that game. So give me Jordan Love over Fields for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. The only thing I'm worried about is the Green Bay looking too good and then blowing them out. it happened to Tyler Murray. He had a big game anyway, but I think Jacobs could, rush the ball quite a bit because their defense is so bad. I still am going to lean Jordan Love just for the fact I'm not a huge Fields fan. Dallas's defense has not looked great, and they're missing Parsons and Lawrence, but it's not like the Fields is dropping back anyway. He's not going to be rushing the ball. That's mostly his upside in fantasy anyway. It's like having a running back at QB. Like I said, I still lean Love side. I think it's close, but if it's 6 point per passing touchdown, I definitely lean Love. If it's only 4, I think you maybe can start Fields, but it's close.
Yeah, and I think McVay, he always has his teams, ready to play. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I mean, and even if they were starting to lose the lead or let's just say start to get it behind quite a bit, that team's not giving up. They're going to score points and like I said, I like it to be a shootout. Let's see. Okay, so we got everything. All right, so yeah. So
I have one of my own if y'all don't mind.
Go ahead. Throw it in.
So this is the worst question anybody can ask, but should I bench Patrick Mahomes for Sam Darnold?
Ooh,
that's such a good one. Now, so if there's gonna be a game where Sam Darnold turns into a pumpkin, it might be against the Jets. So I think I'm just gonna go with Patty Mahomes, and I'm gonna sit Sam Darnold because if there's a game, this could be the game he turns into a pumpkin and he sees ghosts. What about you, Zoobs?
yeah. I mean, the Jets know him. He was on the Jets. Saleh knows him. They're gonna be able to scheme up against him.
Plus, it's plus across the pond.
It's in London. It's a weird, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those weird early morning for us. It's just, the travel, the fact that it's his old team, the Jets. I think that you're right. If there's going to be a point where Darnold's going to, all of a sudden the switch is turned, this is the one. So, yeah, I go Mahomes.
Yep. As much as the stats probably say not to, it's sometimes you got to go with your gut and do the right thing. So, like Spike Lee said, do the right thing. So, all right. Well, that's our show for this week. Thank you all for listening. And before I get out, since I got Zoobs on, Zoobs, can you let the listeners know how you're winning at DFS every week?
Oh man,
Where are you going
JoJo.
Where are you going?
You and JoJo putting up those DFS, the DSF stuff on the website has for 3 weeks in a row. First week I lost because you guys didn't have the tools up yet, but go to the Ballsville website, use the DFS tools. Scott, I've been using yours because you got it the broken out between the FanDuel and the Underdog, I think.
DraftKings.
Yep. And I've got a league with a couple of guys. We throw in $100 at the beginning, and then we just draft every weekend, And 3 weeks in a row I've won using your FanDuel stuff, and so I've been raking in cash on that, and if I keep it up, I'll get the pot at the end of the year too. So
that's awesome.
All you Ballsville gamers, go to the website, go to the tools, use the DFS tools. I'm telling you right now, as a user myself, I'm winning using it. So go use it.
All right, that's great information. And JoJo does a good job with prop bets. Also, he's winning with the prop bets. So please go to our tools on the website, theballsvillegame.com. Check out all our tools. I mean, there's all kinds of information on there. There's target funnel tools, there's defensive funnel tools. I mean, there's just so much stuff on there to help you, win your leagues every week. So, and like I said, again, like and subscribe our podcast. It really helps out a lot. So until Tuesday, when we come back, you gamers have an awesome weekend. I hope you guys win a lot of money, and win your weeks. So for my co-host, C-Bomb, for Zubakis, way up in Alaska, until next week, folks, we are out.
Later.